Everybody. So, I wanted to welcome you guys. There's a brand new project that Philosopher King podcast is launching, which I think you guys will love. I have been noodling over how to do this, what it would look like for some time now, and I think we're ready. So, I want to invite you to the brand new series. I want you to every morning at 8 a.m. I want you to grab your cup of coffee, cup of Joe, and join me for Cup of Jonah. So every morning at 8 o'clock, what we're going to do is do a little reading together. Now, as you guys have known from watching Philosopher King, there's not as much interaction with the comments as you get with the lives. There will be for this. There will be more interaction with the comments. But what I wanted to do is, as truthers, as people who are really focused on trying to understand reality around us better, trying to get at the truth of things, what's behind the veil, what's a little bit more difficult to understand, but really fundamental and important to see through all the confusing garbage of this day and age that we live in. So that's what we're going to try to do. But as you guys know, and so anyways, what I was going to say, you can tell this isn't very well rehearsed or scripted, it's just from the heart. But so one of the things that I loved is a brief morning, I've always loved, is a brief morning reading, something to kind of ponder throughout the day. And so that's what I want to give you guys. I want to give us all, myself included, just a little tidbit of some wisdom from the past, some reflection on reality, in order to ponder throughout the day. So these streams will be also available on Spotify, but they'll be at 8 a.m. just for about 20 minutes, half hour, rarely longer than that. But the whole point is to read a little snippet of something to give us food for thought and talk about it a little bit here, and then keep it short and sweet, and then go about our day. And then the next day, we do the same thing again, moving forward a little bit in our pursuit of truth and knowledge. So, as you all know, I love Aristotle. This inspiration, Aristotle in the Platonic tradition, is the inspiration for the podcast. But in the mind of Aristotle, St. Thomas was one of the great understanders of and kind of revealers and unpacked Aristotle so well. So, one of St. Thomas's most well-known works is called the Summa Theologica. It's a summary of all of theology. It's 5 volumes this big. That's not what we're reading, by the way. I'll get to that in a second. But it's a summary of all. He called it a handbook of theology for beginners, right? But here's the problem with that in this context, right? What you and I have in common, for sure, some of us have the Christian or the Catholic faith in common as well, but what you and I have in common is that we're all rational human beings who are seeking truth. So in all of the reflections on reality, which is really beautiful, he starts with what we can know about God, what we can know about him and his internal existence and dynamics, and then his interactions with everything that he's created. The first unmoved mover, what has he moved in this world? What do we see around us, right? So there's that neat. Then he progresses from a consideration of God in himself to God in his creation. And then he looks at the creation itself and ponders all the different aspects of creation, and then how God manages creation and governs over it and guides it even to this day. And then that return of creation to him. So there's that medieval exitus reditus, this going out from God and returning to him. And so you have this whole idea of the faith, and the last book is of the faith and the sacraments and the return to God. But all of these things are argued or discussed from the perspective of someone who already believes that Scripture is inspired and a revelation of God, and already believes in the truths of the Catholic faith, etc. So it's a very theological work. There's a lesser well-known work of St. Thomas that discusses the same exitus reditus, the same creation and drawing back to himself all things, but from a philosophical perspective. So it's called the Summa Contra Gentiles. It's 5 volumes, much smaller, but it's also from it begins with a reflection on what is wisdom and what is a wise man, and why do we call a wise man a wise man? And it's beautiful. So he starts from there to a consideration of what we can know about God. He'll reference scripture from time to time, but it's not as like in the way that the Summa is. It's not as a starting point for an argument or a syllogistic reasoning process. It's not, right? So it's something much more kind of discursive, rational, and logical progression. So this is what we're going to read together. Book 1 is on God, and then book 2 goes to reflect on creation. Book 3 is on providence, and then book 4 is on salvation. So how do we return to him? So, but it's all parting from philosophical principles. So it's a lot of the same truths in terms of what the reality is of the world around us, what the reality of God is, etc. But it's from something that you and I all have in common, our human rational knowledge and understanding of the world around us. And it parts from that. Now, are we all going to agree on all the conclusions that Thomas comes to in these writings? Probably not. And that's wonderful, because then we can talk about it. So each chapter, so the format is going to be just a chapter a day. Each chapter is sometimes one of these little pages, sometimes 2, maximum 3. But one of the benefits of reading this with me rather than just by yourself is, first of all, we get to read it together. Second of all, there's a presupposed background in Aristotelian thought and terminology, which I have spent a lot of time, I've been trained in, I've spent a lot of time reading and pondering Aristotle's perspective. So if there's ever words or phrases that Thomas uses when he refers to Aristotle, who he calls the philosopher, then I will be able to help kind of clarify those and parse those meanings out and help make some distinctions so that we can all be on the same page when we're thinking about the discussions or the topics that he presents. So I'm really excited to go on this journey with you. Like I said, it'll be live streamed like everything else from the Philosopher King. It'll be live streamed to YouTube and to X, but I'm also going to be putting these recordings up onto Spotify. Thank you. To Spotify, because I want, if you're on your way to work, I want you to be able to listen to it on the drive to work, or just at some point, maybe during your lunch break, if you can't join us live or whatever. So I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys are too. But anyways, this is my formal introduction and invitation for you to join me for a cup of Jonah weekday mornings at 8 a.m. See you then.